The National Public Health Emergency Team are meeting on Thursday to consider the spread of the Delta variant and COVID-19 cases in schools and the effect of children isolating at home. Is it time to change our approach to COVID in schools? Joining us now to discuss this is the General Secretary of the TUI, Michael Gillespie. Michael, there's been a lot of talk about the number of children who are self-isolating. It was up to 16,000 at one point during the week. Very difficult in terms of delivering their education, very difficult for them in terms of getting their education. What's the TUI's view on what should happen, I suppose, in terms of schools and managing what is a difficult situation?
Good morning, Ciara. Well, I suppose last week, what we saw was, unacceptable and hugely stressful delays for principals, seeking information, especially early in the week. Now, we made strong representations that this should cease, and we've been guaranteed that improvements will be made. Now, anybody could have saw that surge coming. The demand for testing when the first 2 weeks back with students returning to school with symptoms, and they can be for any cause. But what we're waiting for now, I suppose, over the next 2 weeks, and it feeds into what you've just asked me, is the results of those tests. They're going to come after 5 and 10 days, and we'll see how the Delta variant is spreading. And we're waiting to see how that testing now turns into numbers. So if there's going to be any change in close contact testing, it must be based on sound public health advice and not because of any deficits in contact tracing. But we need to wait for a while longer. I mean, we closed schools last May, June, when there was a different variant predominant. We had smaller numbers. Now we're going back with larger numbers, and the Delta variant is the dominant variant. We need to see how that... we hope that it'll be low numbers will be turned into positive cases, but we need the figures to support that. Now, in second level, obviously, we have an advantage in that our 12 to 15-year-olds are in a vaccination program, and hopefully, they'll be getting significant protections from vaccinations. But again, that will take another couple of weeks for that to come to full fruition.
What did you think of the advice from Public Health that principals shouldn't jump the gun and just be sending children home because they are in the same class or perhaps had been sitting near somebody, that you should wait within schools, that the teaching staff should wait before doing that, because there is a grace period of 4 to 5 days before anybody who's becoming infected by a positive case will be infectious themselves?
There should be no rush. Well, then you see, we needed the principals needed to be told this.
Okay,
that's where there was the deficit in information. And the other problem there was that all the advice we got was, the mitigation that's needed for the Delta was good ventilation. That's up to schools. Schools worked on that. The wearing of masks, but also to keep any cases out of the school while we're still vaccinating people at second level. So the principals were going with the advice they'd got at the time,
okay.
And then they didn't get the follow-up support, or they felt they didn't get the support from the public health.
And lastly, Michael, with regard to ventilation in schools, obviously it was supposed to be a little bit more than just opening the windows. Is it the view of the TUI that ventilation and the carbon dioxide monitors and all of that there's enough of that going on the ground?
Not all schools are the same, Ciara. That's the problem. We have schools that have, fantastic, modern schools that have been built very, very, very recently. We have schools that were built, at a certain time when there's cross ventilation. But then we've other schools that have not great ventilation. So the CO2 monitors are a tool to be used to see, can we predict when we need air changes? Again, that becomes far more important when we get into the cold weather as well, because we all know what schools were like last year. Everybody was wearing 2 layers of coats and whatever. So not all schools are the same, and some schools are able to create ventilation far easier than others.
All right. Thank you for speaking to us this morning. That is the General Secretary of the TUI, Michael Gillespie.